Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We are live on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. We got an incredibly special guest. I'm honored to have him on. David Meltzer. How are you, brother?
I am terrific. I was just admiring your studio. You got Gretzky, you got Einstein, you got Oprah, you got Ali. The best of the best, the spirit of excellence right there. That backbone of you must be what you can be is displayed right there. That's beautiful.
I love that, brother. So how's life been the last year and a half with business? I see you, I'm obviously how we connected. I follow you on social media and I see just, it seems like day by day you're just growing and you're following and your inspiration, everything. And I love your little video clips and everything. So how's been the growth of the business the last year and a half?
You know, it's moving faster than anticipated. I segment out everything. I've learned that through years of experience where I used to tie my emotions to an outcome. I now enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential. And I have persistence like nobody else, but I also have patience combined, which is a blend which most people can't have. The persistence to make things happen with the patience to allow it to become. And when you do that, you actually experience exponential growth and acceleration far beyond your wildest dreams. So for me, I segment things out. I expected a 20-year accelerated growth. And because I've detached in my emotions, I've experienced what I thought I'd be in 20 years in about 3.5 years.
Yeah, it's amazing how hard work and dedication and obviously some mindset behind it, how you achieve so much. I'm a huge family guy, and I know our time is short today, so I want to dive into that. I mean, one thing I was talking to your assistant Blaine before we got on air is as a dad, I'm a super busy entrepreneur, but I'm home every day for dinner, and that's a huge part of just my surroundings and time with my kids and sports, and I coach still and all that. How is family time and how do you balance it in your busy schedule?
Yeah, so for me, I don't believe in the same traditional balance of other people. Although during COVID, I've learned some valuable lessons about readjusting the weighted balance that I have. So I carry two routines. When I'm at home, I carry a routine that includes, hours of time with my family, and that's off the grid family time. But I have an adaptable routine. And before COVID, I traveled 200 days a year. So for me, the number one priority, and a lot of people tell you, oh, the number one resource you have is your time. No, it's not. Time is not the most valuable thing you have. Your health is. Because without health, time means nothing, and so does family. So I spend a minimum amount of an hour of time on my health every day, minimum 30 minutes with my wife, minimum 30 minutes with my son, minimum 2 minutes a day with my 3 teenage daughters, and a minimum of 1 minute a day with my mom. Every single day, 7 days a week. I believe that 2 minutes a day is worth far more than 2 hours on a Saturday, especially with family. That the consistent, persistent nature of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious continuum, the way that not only we're connected to the greatest source of light, love, and lessons, but to each other, sharing that light, sharing those lessons, inspiring each other by knowing, really 4 things. 1, that we're all healthy. 2, we're all happy. 3, we love each other. And 4, we appreciate each other. Appreciation is a duality. Appreciation means that, number 1, we're grateful for each other, but it also means that we're adding value to each other's lives, right? When a house appreciates, it adds value to it. So very, very construct about the time. And as brilliant as that sounds, I am one of the biggest hypocrites in the world because I got to eat dinner with all my kids almost every night. The college kids were home. They couldn't go back to school. Everybody was forced to stay in. And it really was a shocker to me that as much as I waited the time to spend every day with my kids, I did not acknowledge how much I appreciated my family and the time that I spent with my family, especially dinners. Right now, if you would offer me, badges to the Masters or 50-yard line seats to the Super Bowl or backstage passes to the ESPY Awards, all things that I do, and my kids, all of them said, no, Dad, I want you to stay home for dinner. This is the first time in my life I'd stay home for dinner without a doubt, without any regret.
I love that. Where's okay, first off, with your one of your companies, Sports One Marketing, when did it all begin?
Yeah, so Sports One Marketing began as I spun off from Leigh Steinberg Sports Entertainment. Lee's the most notable sports agent in the world. He represented Warren Moon, the Hall of Fame quarterback and Canadian Hall of Famer.
Yes.
He and I became friends, and Leigh was an alcoholic, had some really difficult times, and Warren encouraged me to start a business with him about marketing and media. 11 years ago, we did that. And like I said, the last 3.5 years, I've built my own brand. And I went from being CEO of Sports One Marketing to a consultant, a founder. And I'm glad that I did, because Sports One Marketing business model revolved around large gathering events like the Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, Masters, Kentucky Derby, Breeders' Cup. So if I had all my eggs, or Warren had all his eggs in the Sports One Marketing basket, we'd be in big trouble. But we're both blessed that we saw some writings on the wall, believe in the stage theory, digital marketing, media. And so we are building and growing so fast and today on our own brands.
Very, very cool. So when you got into, how did you get into the overactive media? And I heard there's a little fun story with your son on there.
Yeah. So, just like I said, I'm the biggest hypocrite. One of the greatest lessons at 52 that I know is I don't know what I don't know. So I'm going to the first Game 7, Cavaliers versus Golden State, and we're on that little trolley, right? And my son looks over at Oracle, and he said, "Wow, that's where the League of Legends championship was, Dad." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "It's sold out." And I'm like, no, buddy. People don't watch video games in a stadium. They're on Twitch. It's at home. He said, "No." And my head of media is a huge gamer from Canada, from Markham, actually.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, Dave, they sold out Oracle, and they had more people watch the League of Legends championship than they will the NBA championship." And I'm like, "How can that be? I'm Dave Meltzer. I'm a seasoned sports veteran. I'm not an athlete. I'm a seasoned sports business veteran. I know about this. This is impossible. You're wrong." I go home, I do all this due diligence, and lo and behold, I had no idea how huge this was. So I started manifesting, and Marcus Colston and who else? Weekend. There was one other big guy in there. Oh, Meta World Peace. Yeah. They were all investing, the first investors, in something called Splice, which was the original team in Toronto. And so I told my wife I wanted to get involved in esports, and that I would invest my money, but we'd probably lose the money, but we'd make it back on me being involved and figuring it out. And I swear to goodness, man, I feel like Al Davis. I own, one of the top 4 teams in the world, top 4 businesses in the world in esports. Overactive Media is an incredible platform and media company and team, and we have licenses, and it's still, I think, at the early stages, as huge as it is.
I'm not a gamer, but I mean, it's just in my office with my staff. When I told them you were going to be on, and I showed them your social media, and they automatically saw the Toronto teams, and these are all like 25, 30-year-old guys in my office, and they're all gamers.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to do that. And they're all like, "Oh my God, that's a Toronto team, and you could buy their jersey." And they're explaining to me, I'm like, "What do you guys mean you could buy this and you could do that?" And they're like, "This is I think it was Call of Duty," they said. And I was on, and they're going, and they're like, it was like they're so happy to know that you're on my podcast because of that connection, which I was laughing.
It's so nice, and like, I think I've prided myself on being so diverse in my interests. I can be seen, even in my career, I ran the first smartphone for Samsung, right? The PCE phone, the world's first CE device, and then running the Notable Sports Agency with Leigh Steinberg, and then Warren and I having that side, and working on so many different areas that people, and I think that's why the brand, my personal brand, grows so much, is that someone's like, "Oh, I love Jerry Maguire," or they say, "I love esports," or they say, "Oh, I love Warren Moon," or then they say, "Oh, he's the Goodwill Ambassador Curacao. I love baseball," or the Clemente Award I did. All these different areas in my life, it seems to have a different frequency to different people. Then I'm also, with another Canadian, Bob Proctor, who's my mentor. He's a world thought leader,
of course, yeah.
Dr. Gallagher. So Bob Proctor, 86-year-old, is the reason I speak, because I was trying to figure out, as I, built my career back up from going bankrupt in 2008. I was like, I'm not retiring. What can I do? And I'm looking at this 80-year-old man at the time on stage going, "Hey, I could, my wife could get what she wants, which is travel around the world and stay at resorts. And I can get what I want, is continue to empower people and meet my mind. My mind's a muscle, right? I'm going to keep working out till the day I die. I'm going to be Bob Proctor." So I took him on as a mentor and a hero. And he's also, by the way, Bob Proctor's the largest donor and the most supportive person to the Unstoppable Foundation, which I'm the chairman of.
Oh, interesting.
He's the most generous person, and he's one of my heroes and mentors. But of course,
How did let's go back. How did you meet him? Where did you meet him?
so I actually met him. I was speaking, just starting my speaking career at a stage called Secret Knock, and he was the keynote speaker, and it was actually his 80th birthday. And when I met him, he then, I was a board member of Unstoppable. I wasn't the chairman yet. And so we had a nice bond because I knew that he was a big donor and supporter of the charity. So I went up to meet him and thank him, and then ask him to be my mentor. And
that was all in the same conversation?
Oh yeah, I'm a big asker of mentorship.
That's awesome. I love that.
You know, and now that I'm in that position, so many people ask me, I'm telling you, such a big compliment when someone tells you, I want to learn from you. You know, like how is that not a great compliment?
You know, it's funny because on social media, I put a post the other day: surround yourself and integrate yourself around people that you want to learn from, and and that's how you're always growing and developing. And I'm a strong believer the day you die is the day you stop learning. So it's just common sense to be around people that you're going to learn off or develop and grow. So I love that part of you still till this day, right? You just grow.
Yeah, life is about lessons. The lessons will keep on coming till you learn it. They result in pain if you haven't learned it. Pain's an indicator. That's all it is. An indicator you have something to learn. Mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, financial pain. Just indicators, like a turn signal. Hey, buddy, you got something to learn. I got a better direction for you to go in.
I love your energy, David. I love it. Well, let's step back quickly to, you don't have to dive into it too much, but that day you became bankrupt. Was it leading up to that? Was it something that happened? Like, how did that all come about?
Well, I'm one of the few people you'll meet that bottomed out 2 years before he went bankrupt. So I actually started my journey back, even though my financial journey was going downhill from 2006 to 2008. Yeah. I'd reformed my vision of life in 2006, hitting rock bottom, realizing that my life was shallow, empty. And the journey just in 1 minute went from growing up with nothing, 6 kids, a single mom, working 2 jobs, packing my dinner in a station wagon. Financial stresses were the only negative thing in my life. I called that the world of not enough. I was a victim. Everything was happening to me. Not enough food, not enough money, not enough school, not enough. Then I became a millionaire 9 months out of law school. I called that the world of just enough. And what happened was I really believed that money bought love and happiness because I had completed my journey of buying my mom a house and a car, which is why I wanted to be rich. And everything I did reaffirmed that money bought love and happiness. But I was living in a world of just enough, which meant to me I was buying things I didn't need to impress people and impress people I didn't even like, you know. And so in 2006, I realized that no longer would I live in the world of not enough or the world of just enough. There was this world of more than enough of everything for everyone that would come through me with appreciation for others. And instead of giving to receive, instead of living in a world of negotiation, scarcity, trade, quid pro quo, all the different things that I lived in as the CEO of the most notable sports agency, I was going to shift my paradigm and live in a world of abundance where there was more than enough. So instead of giving to receive as a trade, I learned that I would receive as much as I can so I could give. And that was a big major shift in my life. And I had to learn the lessons and lose everything along those 2 years of transformation. But I was fully prepared in 2008 to rebound and make things economically right in my life. I had learned lessons over those 2 years. Just as now I'm better prepared in 2020. I've never had a better year in my entire life, and I've never been able to help more people have a better year in their lives as well, which I'm not shy about saying. People are like, Dave, you shouldn't say that. People are dying. People are sick. You know, first of all, let me just tell you this. I cannot be sick enough to make you better. And I definitely cannot be poor enough to make you rich. But I can be rich enough to make you rich, and I can be well enough to help you be well. And so I don't apologize for making a lot of money because I'm doing it to help other people, and I'm not going to apologize because I can teach other people. And my mission in life is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. I can't be sad enough to make you happy either, but happiness I can share simply by witnessing it. It's the greatest disease of all time. Not only is it shared by witnessing it, but it'll strengthen you mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. It'll also strengthen your immune system, so to protect you from any other virus that you're afraid of. So I'm not apologizing to people when they tell me, hey, be careful. I am so sorry that people are dying of viruses and people die every day. I am. But the only thing I can do to help that is to be my best and live to my potential so I can help other people.
As you're talking, and I'm just watching you right now, and as you're talking about helping other people, it's like you have a joy in it. Like your eyes just glow up, and you have this smile on your face. So it's genuine, which I love, right? And then it's amazing when you get to a certain point in your life, mentally, spiritually, physically, that you could give back and find joy in it. And I love that. I love that part of you. So congratulations on that aspect of it, brother.
Thank you. It's a blessing. That's all I gotta say.
School wise, you finished law school. Where'd you go to law school?
Tulane. I went there to be an oil and gas litigator, top maritime law program in America. So I went to Tulane for that specific purpose.
Did you going through high school and college and whatnot and university? Did you play sports?
I did. I actually played in college. So
You did?
Yeah, I was a football player.
Oh, interesting.
I could run scared faster than everybody could angry. 147 pounds of pure flight. But yeah, I dreamed to be a professional football player. My mom always told me doctor, lawyer, or failure. So my favorite football story is my first play freshman year. I got ran over by Christian Okoye, who's better known as the Nigerian Nightmare. He was the AFC Player of the Year the next year, but he ran me over. I'm not lying. My freshman year, I'm lying on my back on my first game, and I'm lying there thinking to myself, doctor, lawyer, or failure. I can't believe I thought I was going to be a professional football player. He played a different game than I was taught.
What do you take out of that? I mean, sports I find is something that's valuable to a lot of kids growing up, being in that team environment, learning how to be competitive. What did you take out of that? Were you able to use some of that towards your career?
Oh my gosh. You know what the best part of that I took out of it? I learned so many lessons. Yeah. I think that just playing college football, if I never went to a class, that I still would have been as successful as I am because of the lesson that I learned. And the lesson that I learned was this. People will ask me, I believe that happiness is derived not from attaching your happiness to an outcome and winning, but instead to enjoy the consistent everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of your own potential. 100%. So people ask me, Dave, what's your greatest potential? How close have you come to it? And I will tell them that being an average Division III football player, and I was average, was the closest to my own quantum potential, my own potential. Every single day from the time I was 5 years old, I carried a football with me, a Nerf ball, a regular ball. I threw it to myself. I played. I reached so close to my potential. Now, unfortunately, genetically, my potential isn't quite to the level of Christian Okoye's, but moreover, what I learned was, wow, what if I took something I was actually good at quantumly, like sales or speaking, right, or motivating people? What if I used that same must be what I can be attitude, that same mental vision of enjoying it, of finding the light, the love, and the lessons, of having a lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude in everything, and applied it to something that I actually was born to do? Oh boy, look out. And that's what happened in my life, and that's what I learned from playing football, even though I wasn't very good.
I love it. I love it. Obviously, public speaking is a huge part of who you are. When was the first time you stepped on stage? Do you remember that moment?
Well, in high school, I used to they had a quad, and I used to get on the mic. I was on the Associated Student Body. I was the commissioner of athletics. So kind of the rally guy. That was my first venue into it. And I spoke in college as well. And then at West Publishing after I graduated law, I was a moot court guy. So litigation is like speaking, being a lawyer. And then when I first started my job, I became, because I was the top guy, an internal speaker and trainer. So I have been speaking, since high school. I'm a middle child of 6, right? So I was on with someone, the founder of Rotten Tomatoes, Eric, and he's like, I hate speaking. I'm an introvert. I'm like, oh my God, I'm an attention seeker. I'm a middle child. Anything I could do to grab the mic, that was me.
So when you first stepped on stage, was it just naturally comfortable for you?
Yeah, it was, but I'll tell you this.
Public speaking is always the biggest fear for most people, right?
Yeah, and I sucked. So, here's the problem with speaking is like there's always someone that's at your frequency. So no matter how bad you are, there's going to be someone that's like, oh my God, that was so good. Meanwhile, the other 900 people that left and didn't talk to you, they're not going to say that sucked, or they'll lie to you and say it was good. But I know the difference of the stages I speak on. I know people, when someone lines up an hour and a half and stands in line and I'm signing books and he doesn't have a book, and I said, hey, how can I help you? He said, I just wanted to thank you. So awesome. You stood an hour and a half in line after I spoke just to tell me thank you. Yeah, that speech changed my life. Thank you. Then you know you're speaking. That you know you got it. Your frequency is strong, your spectrum is large, and the clarity of your message is there. You're moving people to another dimension and plateauing and growing instead of allowing them to just get motivated and die off. So many speakers, they're great at juicing you up, and then they never get you there. Yeah. I really pride myself on not only motivating you, which will get you up, get you back up, get you started, get you back, but transitioning that motivation energy into inspiration. Something that will last with you so you can enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your own potential and vote for what you want in your life, not what other people want.
I love that. I'm going to dive into two quick more things. Sure. Fitness is a huge part of your life now. You said an hour a day. What is that? What does that entitle? Is it just movement? Is it, do you have a set routine? How do you focus on
yeah. So for me, it's a minimum of an hour. So I start the day 20-minute meditation. Beautiful. Get ready 10 minutes and then 30 minutes cardio. And then at least another 30 minutes that will include some sort of resistant training with stretching. So I like to do sets with stretches in between. Yeah. And I usually try to stick to a back and bi, chest and tri, legs and shoulders methodology, and then days off in between. Once you get something quantum, I'm so obsessive, right? And I think that's a benefit. I take it as a compliment that I know that I'm healthy. I know that I'm healthy when I wake up and it's my day off, and I can't help myself but doing sit-ups and push-ups or something else. You know what I mean? It's I do cardio every day. I do cardio every day. I don't do it as hard every day, but I do cardio every single day. And movement.
I'm a strong believer in just every day finding something to move. Right, it's so important for you, for just your mental aspect as well. Right.
Absolutely, and yeah, I would say real quick because I know, and I'm not counting to go over, but. I was on this unbelievable panel. It was like CEO of HBO's. It was CEO of Burger King. It was CEO of Apple. These are big people, right? And they're going, and it was like freshmen at Stanford, or I forget where we were, and we were given the last piece of advice to freshmen coming in. And everyone had this like really good advice, but the CEO, this woman, she was either at MTV or HBO or something. She looks over and she says, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Find something that you love to do fitness-wise and do it an hour a day the rest of your life. And I was like, she awesome. Gets it, right? Like I told you, everyone says, your number one asset is time. The number one resource is time. The time is, but no, not time, health.
100%.
It trumps
everything. On that, 100%, brother. 100%. Yeah. I have one question I ask everybody. Then I want you to quickly talk about your program you're offering now, but I always ask everybody before our end of our conversations, in a few words, how would you want to be remembered or described by the closest friends one day you pass?
How about one word? Kind.
One word. Awesome. Kind. I love it. I love that. Let's talk about your program quickly. What are you offering? I think it's a Friday day program you said you're offering now?
So for 20 years, I've been training people every Friday. It started as sales training. Now it's happiness. And I call it the road to revenue and happiness because I believe money is a road of happiness. If you buy the right things, you'll be happy. It doesn't buy happiness, but it allows you to shop. You buy the right things, you'll be happy. So every Friday, 11 a.m., I have a free training. All you got to do is email me, david@dmeltzer.com. You can join my text community, 949-298-2905. And either one, just join me for free training. And if you miss it, the replay's on, my top podcast on Mondays. You can download it, go to YouTube, watch it. This week's one of my favorites. It's BYOQ. Bring your own questions. I'll bring the answers. So I rapid fire questions from everybody to help them. But I've been doing trainings for 20 years. It is my methodology of how I'm going to empower 1,000 people like you to empower 1,000 people, Jeff, to empower 1,000 people to be happy. So please join me. It's free. So don't worry. It's free. If it's free, it's me. And now it's for you too.
This is awesome, brother. I am so honored to have you on. This is everything you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. This is a reason for what you're doing, and I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate you taking time in your busy schedule to come on the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. And once again, do you have any final things you want to say to our audience?
You know what? I'm going to say two things. One, I hope someday to be on that chalkboard behind you with my mentors and heroes. And two, be kind to your future self and do good deeds.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much, David.